This game is so bad, man. At least the pain is over. It's you. Movie tie-in games on the PS2 are either hidden gems or complete disasters. So today we're diving into 3 of the strangest ones that I could find. And I honestly think that one of them might have been cursed. So with these 3 games, we're gonna be starting from best to the worst movie tie-in games that we got here today for y'all. Starting with Curious George, the best of the 3 movie tie-in games. Curious George, obviously based off that old-ass Curious George movie, kind of like the origin story of Curious George from what I remember. And this game especially is like the origin story of Curious George, how he met the man in the yellow hat, and all of the shenanigans that Curious George gets himself into. So looking at the back here, it says, curiosity is coming home. When the man with the yellow hat travels to Africa in search of a lost artifact, this dude thinks he's Indiana Jones or some shit. He returns with some unexpected cargo, a curious little chimp named George. Which, honestly, who named him George? Because I'm sure George's actual chimp mother did not name him George. Let's be real, it was probably the man in the yellow hat's idea. Anyways, make monkey business as you help George and his friends find the one item special enough to save the museum from the bulldozer. Also says we got 12 action-packed levels. Be curious. You can be curious in this game, which is a huge, I guess, selling point to the game. You can literally be curious with objects and earn curious points or some shit. I don't fucking know. Go bananas, bonus content, mini games, all that kind of stuff. Let's hop into Curious George and see just how good or bad this movie tie-in game is on the PS2. Let's go. So booting up the PS2, we obviously see the studio logos, which every single game has. We have Namco, we have even George's crackhead cousin. But besides all that, we enter the menu and start a brand new game. Starting level 1, we open up with a cutscene of the man in the yellow hat searching for an artifact, and he gets disappointed that it's not big enough. And then George steals his hat, and then he just dips out, I guess. That cutscene was kind of strange. Also, it's too small. Like, I guess the man in the yellow hat was like kind of like disappointed that the artifact was not big enough to his liking. I don't really understand why. It's an artifact, dude. Like, it's probably priceless either way. So along our journey, we follow the man in the yellow hat, and all he's doing is complaining about the shitty road conditions, like he's not in the jungle or anything.
Maybe we should take the highway. Is there a highway? We're driving on that? Let me out, I'll walk the rest of the way.
And a huge gameplay element in this game is the fact that you can get curious with certain items, just like I said before. So there's a big ass question mark above the item, you can get curious with it, and then you can earn some curious points that, like, in the bonuses, in the menu section, you can unlock like bonuses and stuff. Bro got so curious that he tapped a tree with his pointer finger and it collapsed. Bro, how strong is Curious George? So we make it to the village and encounter some actually insane platforming. Like, bro, this is reminiscent of Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights. Dude, this is a kid's game. So it looks like the man in the yellow hat is actually heading back to America, and I guess George, for some odd reason, wants to go with him. Maybe to return his hat, or maybe just to be curious. It's not really explained. Like, are you going to be, like, nice to return the hat for him? Or are you just going because you're curious? I mean, I would honestly probably assume because he's curious. I mean, his name is Curious George. Bro, they got Dole in this game. I swear, like, there's like a few levels in this game where they just spam the Dole logo everywhere. Like, they really love Dole in this game. So we enter the ship and complete the level. And now that we're on the ship, there's a forklift that needs a key. So we have to make our way around this huge ass ship to find the key. We get on the upper level of the ship and there's these sailors and they say no monkeys on the crane. You know, like, that's really gonna be catastrophic for your business. And then they say, it's okay if I go up there as long as I entertain them. And then there's like this entertaining mini game where I dance for them and then they're like all happy. These are grown ass men, by the way. And they're getting entertained by a little ass monkey dancing. And then after I entertain them to an exceeding, like a level that they're pleased with, I guess they let me go on the crane. Like, bro, you're a monkey. just go on the crane. These sailors aren't gonna climb up there and chase you, man. Like, come on. So we found the key, we got back to the forklift, and we drive the forklift into a box, and out comes the artifact that the man in the yellow hat acquired at the beginning of the game. And I guess the level just ends like abruptly. There's a lot of abrupt, just like, okay, you get to this point in the game, super abrupt cut, and then you're just at like a random loading screen. There's like really not a lot of flow to this game between the scenes. Now from here on out, I'm just gonna call the man in the yellow hat Yellow Man, because that's too much to say. I'm about to say that like 100 times this video. But anyways, this cutscene shows the Yellow Man getting into a taxi, and he heads for the museum, apparently. And for some reason, when it zooms onto the back of the taxi, there's a kid with glasses on, like just chilling in the back, like, yo, who the hell is this random kid? We then have to platform on top of moving vehicles, and all of this just to give him his hat back? Nah, man. George must have malicious intent or some shit. Also, this part was absolutely ridiculous, and for some reason, George cannot touch the pavement, but once traffic gets too backed up, we see that the yellow man gets out of the taxi, and we follow him by going on the pavement. Like, bro, what the hell? And not only that, but we get on top of a piece of construction equipment and just get hoisted into a construction zone, and then the level ends. Like, we're coming on to level 4, and already this game is just kind of all over the place. It's not bad per se. Some of the platforming, especially the moving on top of vehicles part, was kind of some bull. It's just like a lot of very coincidental things. Like, oh, I guess I apparently step on this construction thing, and then right at that time, I get hoisted up into a construction zone. I mean, they had to pad out the game somehow, you know? George is now a blue-collar worker, and he makes his way through the construction site. Let me just say, though, that the level design of the construction area was actually horrendous. It was that bad. Like, there was some points I didn't even know where the hell to go, I'm not gonna lie, but we're gonna be skipping a lot of the stuff that doesn't even matter, really. We make it out of the construction zone into an alleyway, and then we exit the alleyway, and the level's over. I mean, that construction zone part was so unnecessary. Also, quick side note, since we're talking about padding out game time just to make the game longer than it needs to be, there is a specific game later on in this video that pads out the game by like an extra 3 to 4 hours, and I was getting so pissed off, and it was so bad. Anyways, we're talking about Curious George. I'm getting a little off track. But anyways, level 5. Starting off strong with us following him to his apartment building, and we scale the actual building because we can't go in and sneak past the front desk men. You know, we literally scale the building. Like, we could die, bro. All of this to give back his hat? Hell nah. So we end up finding his room that coincidentally has an open window, and then we enter and the level ends. So as we're in the yellow man's apartment, the yellow man actually finds us, and he is very taken aback. He's really like surprised to see us there. And for some odd reason also, the guy at the front desk is just pissed off. I don't know what his deal is, but he's coming up to the yellow man's apartment door. So the yellow man throws us in the bathroom, tells us to hide. And George being George, we get curious. So after literally destroying the yellow man's bathroom for some fucking reason, I like, okay, I get it. You're a curious monkey. But y'all, you don't need to destroy a man's bathroom, especially a man you're trying to help, you know what I'm saying? But the front desk man is genuinely pissed off. I don't know why. He's like banging, straight up banging on the bathroom door. And I don't know what his deal is. Maybe he doesn't like monkeys in his building. I don't even know if it is his building. But anyways, we escape the bathroom through a vent, and our next goal is to escape the apartment. Bro, I thought we were trying to reunite with the yellow man, and now we're dipping out of here? Is it because we finally delivered him his hat? I don't know. There's a lot of things that like they don't explain to you in this game. So we continue exploring the apartments, and we have to obviously avoid the big fucking pissed guy. There's another instance in this game where there's, from what I remember, one other character that's like absolutely obsessed with finding George, and he's like pissed off. I don't know why. Also, I didn't really even say before, but some of the curious items are just like ridiculous. Like George will find a record player, and then it will start playing like a song of like a guy beatboxing, and then George like absolutely breaks it down like he's on like American Idol or something, like, or like Dancing with the Stars, like. We get so curious, in fact, that we interact with a wardrobe and a bunch of clothing falls on us, and somehow the clothes fall on us perfectly that we are now wearing them. We're gonna skim through this. This random painter guy walks up to me. He asks me if I can help find his brushes. We go find his fucking brushes, and then he lets us upstairs and we do an actually fun, I'm not gonna lie, actually kind of fun bubble popping mini game. And the level ends. Like, bro, George, if you're trying to escape these apartments at ASAP, why are you playing with bubbles, man? This next cutscene here shows that we do reunite with the Yellow Man, and he takes us to the museum where he works. You know, after seeing what we did to his bathroom, he for some reason wants to take us to a museum that has prized artifacts and like exhibits of like real dinosaur bones. Like, really, Yellow Man, really? Now, he tells us to stay in the office, but being as curious as we are, we obviously have to go explore. Also, this is the dude I was talking about, the other guy that was pissed. This guy literally thinks he is the main character.
Hey, Junior. What brings you here? I wasn't hiding a monkey or anything.
Monkey? Does that loony have a monkey here? I'd better keep my eyes open.
This dude clearly sees me rummaging through a suitcase of clothes, and he's still questioning if a monkey is here. I don't know what's up with this character in the museum. He is absolutely obsessed with finding a monkey in the museum that he doesn't even know is actually there or not, because he was talking to the Yellow Man in the cutscene, and the Yellow Man accidentally misworded his sentence or whatever, and he said the word monkey.
Right. Time is monkey, money, gotta go.
And that gave that dude the impression that there's a monkey around here, and now he's just obsessed with finding this monkey. Like, he's so obsessed that he even turns on a goddamn laser system in the museum to try to catch George. Oh man, level 8, okay. At least on the back it only says there's 12 levels, right? Hopefully, only 12 levels. I also gotta say that the cutscenes they use for this game are ripped straight from the movie, so I cannot show you guys these cutscenes, and they also do that for the next game in this video too. They rip the cutscenes straight out of the movie. Sorry guys, that's even gonna make the story more confusing for y'all, but I can't show it. But in the previous cutscene that I didn't show due to copyright, George destroyed the dinosaur exhibit, and now George and the Yellow Man have to sleep outside? Does the Yellow Man not have an apartment? Is he not going back because the big pissed desk manager? Like, this makes no sense, because if they left, the desk person definitely rummaged through his whole apartment and didn't find a single monkey. Is he allowed back to his apartment? Did he get evicted because the guy was suspicious of a monkey? Why are we sleeping outside in the grass? Like, genuinely. Now, this little part, we do another mini game. It's nighttime. We're in like this park area and we have to catch fireflies, and then the level ends. So after sleeping in the park, just on the grass, it's now daytime, and there's some kids playing in the park, and obviously George, being as curious as he is, he goes to investigate, and we have to entertain like 3 groups of kids doing this one bubble or balloon popping mini game this time. Actually a kind of fire mini game, and in return we'll get balloon tokens from the kids, so we can redeem our own balloons. So we get all of our balloon tokens, we give the balloon, dispensary guy our tokens, we get our balloons, but George, instead of grabbing the 1 balloon that he earned from the tokens, he grabs all of the balloons that are there, and he straight up flies away, and then the level just ends, just abruptly once again.
Look out, George!
Oh no! He's flying! That is so cool! Totally flying.
So now we are flying literally through the city, hanging on a stack of balloons, just straight up flying through the city, weaving between buildings and cars and lampposts and stuff. And like, this level is actually ridiculous because for some reason there's other balloons in the sky and our balloon air meter is deflating. We have to collect those to refill our air, which obviously doesn't make any sense because why is there balloons in the air? And number one, the air wouldn't transfer. And if these balloons are already tied as is that George are holding on to, they wouldn't be losing air in the first place. But anyways, enough of the technical bullshit that like, obviously this is a kid's game. They aren't gonna think about that. At the end of the level, we land on the ground and a guy takes us and throws us in a cage, probably like an animal kind of guy. I don't know what those guys are called, but they like take the animals and send them back to where they came from or put them in like fucking zoos or something. I don't know. And he takes us literally back to the jungle.
Come here, you. You're on the next back to the jungle.
And he says we're taking you back to the jungle. So I guess we're not going to a zoo. He's straight up just gonna take us right back to the jungle, which I don't know how he knew we came from a specific jungle in the first place. But anyways, George sits there straight-faced, like absolutely straight-faced, even though he can definitely squeeze through these metal bars on the cage. Level 11, guys, we're getting there. I'm already getting kind of sick of reading this because I remember playing this game. I was sick of playing the game towards the end. I was like, damn, dude, I want this to be over. Like, at the start, don't get me wrong, the gameplay and everything is pretty solid, you know? But as the game goes on, you keep doing these repetitive ass missions and being curious all the time on these same like 5 different objects. And you're like, dude, I just want to be done with this fucking game, man, you know? But level 11, so we get put back onto a ship and then it looks like the same exact layout of the ship previous from the beginning of the game, reusing assets. I mean, there's a lot of dole boxes once again, but for some reason the yellow man is there and he actually saves us. So we fall asleep and wake up because a random ass rat steals the yellow man's idol and we go get it back. Number one, why is yellow man bringing the idol back onto the ship when he came to save George? Who fucking knows? They also don't explain why he's going back to the jungle with George. There's presumably like a bigger idol that there's in the woods that he'd rather have the bigger idol. Well then why bring the little one with you then? Keep both of them if you're going back to the jungle. So the rat jump scares a worker and he runs away. And honestly, by this point, like I said, I'm getting kind of sick of this game, so. At the end of the level, we trade a seagull for a potato and the level ends. Bro, this game should end. I don't even remember what I traded the seagull for. He just, maybe a key or something? Like, well, here's a potato, I'll take the key. It's like the thing from Lego Indiana Jones where you throw the bananas to the monkey and he's like, what one should I give to him? And he gives you the key, even though he can still keep both of them. Like, okay, seagull, I don't know why you want the key in the first place, but level 12. For the final level of this game, thankfully, we return to the jungle and we reach this specific spot in the jungle and the level ends and I'm like, oh, they're gonna play a final cutscene, the game's over. The game isn't over. It says on the back, look at this, across 12 action-packed levels. Boom, right there. There's 13 levels in this goddamn game, bro. 13. I counted them. 13. And I was pissed that there was an extra level. And this extra level is straight up a drag. They only put this in there to drag the game on an extra 25 minutes. Like, no joke, this level was so dumb. After no joke, 20 to 25 minutes of scaling this mountainside, we open the secret door to the temple. So we see another cutscene that I cannot show you due to copyright once again, but basically it's the yellow man at the museum and the game just ends. And that's the game. Like there no credits, nothing. Like I just got booted to the main menu. Now, Curious George on the PS2, I'd give this like a 6.5 out of 10. And if that tells you anything, this game was like mid for a kids movie tie-in game. It was mid. I'd probably never play it again. 6.5 out of 10. There was nothing really like super frustrating about it, like we're gonna see in a little bit. 6.5 out of 10. You guys gotta stay tuned for the absolute bowl that we have coming up here. Curious George. So somehow, Curious George ended up being the least weird game that we played today. Because once we loaded up Monsters, Inc., things started getting strange. So I don't know about you guys, but Monsters, Inc. is one of my favorite animated movies of all time. The story is super good, really emotional towards the end as well. The concept of the movie is phenomenal. I love Monsters, Inc. Scream Team on PS1, so diving into Monsters, Inc. on PS2, I was actually looking forward to this, thinking like, yo, the PS1 game was actually banger. This has gotta be an upgrade, you know? It's gotta be, right? And the PS1 Monsters, Inc. game was not based off of like the movie or anything. This is straight up based off of the movie. This is like a playable version of the movie. So this has gotta be a good ass game, considering it's based off one of the best movies of all time. Best animated movies, that is. So I'm excited. Let's dive into this and relive the amazing memories of Monsters, Inc. So diving in right away, we're starting off strong because this game also rips the cutscenes from the movie to tell you the story. So I basically, once again, cannot show you the cutscenes. So here we are in level 1, and right away, you can just tell, first impressions, you can just tell that this game is gonna be a piece of shit. The animations are horrendous. The overall look of the game is terrible for PS2 especially. I don't really care about graphics, but you just gotta point out that the game looks terrible. The level design is kind of mid. At least in the first level, it's okay. As we continue with the game, the levels get like way worse in design and stuff. There was like maybe one other decent level in this game besides like the first one. The mission basically starts off, we have to do a fetch quest for this random ass dude. I remember this guy from the movies, I just don't remember his name. So we gather his manual, because he lost that. We have to go fetch quest, you already know. We get his manual, we get his key card. Also, you guys, I did a video about this game quite a while ago. It was like over a year ago. I literally did a video completely about Monsters, Inc. on PS2. And why, I said this in that video too, but why are these zesty ass pictures of Sully and Mike on this like weird kind of pillar in the middle of this room? I don't understand. Sully's hitting these zesty ass poses, bro. So the last thing we have to collect for this guy who, you know, sent us on this fetch quest, we got his manual, we got his key card, and now we go into the boss's office and we steal a thing. I genuinely don't know what we're stealing, but we steal it, and then we give it to that random guy, and then the level straight up ends abruptly once again. You know, they can't put any, you know, effort into, you know, having a nice flow between transitions. You know, it just ends abruptly. Now in level 2, we have Boo, already introduced into the story of this game. We don't see her, well actually in the cutscene we do see her come out of the door, and Sully goes to chase her, and you know, all this kind of juicy stuff that, you know, happened in the movie. But basically, Boo escapes into the monster factory, and she is looking crazy. I don't know who worked on the design and look of Boo in this game. She looks like a plastic little fucking doll. I think I literally said that in the past video that I did on this game too. They did Boo even more dirty. Like, bro, she looks like a plastic fucking doll. I think I literally said she looks like a plastic fucking doll. And no joke, that is what she looks like. So we make our way through the monster factory and we have to catch her, basically, before anyone else detects her. Also, this level is kind of long, so we're making our way through the factory, and you're telling me there's not one other singular monster just chilling who sees a human little girl in their factory. Like, you're very lucky, Sully, that no one else was there So making our way through the factory, we hop aboard a train type thing and ride it all the way down. And this part is so dumb because it's meant to be like a platforming part. You have to stay on the train while avoiding like pipes and obstacles and stuff. But if you literally sit on the left side of the train, you can just take the few hits that come your way from the obstacles. But on the left side, they place a bunch of health packs all the way along the way until you're done on the train section. And you literally cannot lose that part because you collect the health, full health, boom, you get hit a little bit, collect the health, full health. There's like 3 health packs. And that is what that's what you call just absolute terrible level design. But we finally find Boo and the level ends. And Sully acts like he's very happy for some reason.
Oh, Boo! Finally.
Isn't Sully at this point in time supposed to be like terrified of this little girl because of what, you know, he's learned his whole life living, you know, with all these monsters? You should be terrified of Boo, but you like found her and you're like, oh, Boo, and you're all happy and shit. Like, so moving on to the next level, we're now on the rooftops and we lose Boo once again. Like, we catch her. This happens multiple times in the game. There's 8 total levels in this game. And like 4 of those levels are just chasing Boo because she runs away from us. I'm not even joking with you. But anyways, we gotta chase her across the rooftops, like, and also on the rooftops? Like, bro, this did not happen in the movie. This is another case of like, we gotta add this part just to pad out the game time, you know? Only 8 levels in this game, so this was the shortest of the 3. But also, this is one of the most like ridiculous things I've ever seen in all of gaming. Like, just hear me out real quick. How is Boo, the little girl who has no magical abilities or anything, she's just a little kid, how is she literally teleporting? Like, she'll be on one rooftop, right? And the next 2 seconds later, she's on another rooftop that's across the entire map.
Something that has been touched by a child. Proceed quickly and calmly to the nearest decontamination site.
Here I come! Sully Express coming through!
But anyways, after, you know, fucking going across all of these rooftops, this part was actually kind of bad because of how dark this level is. It's so dark, you can't really even see that well. But anyways, we catch her on a balcony and she runs in circles and we fall down behind a ladder and glitch the game. But what the fuck? Dude, sometimes the script that I write doesn't make any sense, you know, when I come back to it like a week later. But anyways, besides the point, we catch Boo. Sully does his happy dance once again, and then the level abruptly ends. Like, bro. Also, I tried to talk to Boo, and she started yapping about some nonsense.
Boo? Is there anything else I should know?
I want to know what is in my book.
Do you want me to sing? Do you want a song?
Didn't come along, wasn't here since long. Travel lemon time.
So for this level, which actually this was a pretty decent level, I'll be honest, this is probably the best level in the game. We need to scour the apartment. So we're in like the apartment complex that Sully and Mike live in. So we need to scour the apartment complex to find parts for an outfit for Boo to wear in public so she doesn't, you know, scare the other monsters. And for some reason, I guess this apartment complex has, you know, these parts for her outfit that we need, and we, for some reason, know where the parts are. Like, Mike specifically tells us where these parts are at. Like, bro, how do you know this, Mike? Also, Mike has another interesting secret that we'll talk about in just a minute. This apartment complex is very weird because we're literally breaking and entering into some residents' apartments. And we break down one door and there is a humongous eyeball in there. That reminds me of something out of Silent Hill 4, The Room, when you're in that hospital area and there's that huge fucking face in that one room. Why is there a big ass eyeball in here? And then there's also another part in this apartment area where we get attacked by straight up apples and paper airplanes. I'm not even kidding you. We get attacked. We get literally damaged by some apples and paper airplanes. So as we collect parts for the outfit, Mike says to go to the furnace in the basement, and he hands me a key for some reason. Why does Mike have a key to the furnace room in the basement? Mike, you're up to something strange, man. You're a little suspicious, my boy. As we make it to the furnace, we enter an entire room filled with lava. Straight up lava. Bro, this is under the apartment complex. This is all under the apartment complex. Isn't this like a hazard or something? A furnace room should not have lava scattered like literally like knees deep worth of lava on the floor. But you know, we gotta have a platforming thing, you know, game designers, you know what, that'd be fun. We should put a whole thing of lava, even though it really makes no sense and, you know, if you really think about it, but it'd be cool to platform on this, you know. So we grab the last part that's in the elevator shaft, and Mikey makes the lore accurate costume for Boo, which I do appreciate that it's lore accurate to the movie, and then the level just ends, like, I shouldn't even be surprised at this point that the levels just abruptly end. So this next level is by far the worst one yet. So believe it or not, shouldn't even be a surprise, we lose Boo again. We lost her like 3 times already through the story. And so we chase her through the sewers, which I hate sewer levels in games. It doesn't matter what game it is. I'm just not a big fan of sewer missions. The levels in the sewers. And we're chasing Boo through the sewers now. Number one, I don't remember how we even got into the sewers in the first place. So this is another instance where it's like, yo, let's add this to pad out the game time, I think, probably. So we make our way through the sewers for a little bit, and the sewer level design is terrible. It's really dark in there. Sometimes you'll fall down this pit and you don't know where the hell to go. But yeah, it's just terrible all around. So during this exploration of the sewers, we somehow come across a Boo doppelganger, like literally a Boo look-alike.
Boo? Boo? You're not gonna scare me with that old routine. No way!
No, I'm looking for a little monster that looks just like you.
This is no place for a little monster.
I know that. That's why I'm looking for her.
Like literally a Boo look-alike who has the same exact outfit on, which makes literally no sense because the outfit me and Mike made at the apartment should be like a one-of-a-kind outfit because we made it ourselves. We got our own specific parts for it. How in the hell do we find someone in the sewers that has the same exact outfit that's not Boo? And also, it's literally the same size as Boo, but they tell us, like in like a man voice. I don't know if it's like a kid man or like a little monster man or something. It's clearly not Boo, but same exact outfit. This was so unnecessary in the game. Like, I don't know who came up with this because literally the next room that you go into, you find the actual Boo. It's so dumb, man. Like, genuinely so dumb. So after we do find the real Boo in literally the next room over from that doppelganger Boo, for some reason, I don't know, I don't understand why, we get sent down a trap door and then the level ends. Now, the trap door, it just opens from under our feet, and it looks like there's like acid down there. It looks like just green, straight acid. And then the level just abruptly ends. And this is the weirdest part of this entire game. The part that I don't know who thought this was a good idea because there was no cutscene after this part where I go through that trap door. Usually they play in between levels like a cutscene from the movie to show what point in the movie you're in. But after I fall through this trap door, we go to the next level, no cutscene, no cutscene. But now we are all of a sudden landed into the snowy area from the movie. I think it was called like the Banished Place or something. But for some reason, we go from this trap door, looks like there's acid down there, and then we're all of a sudden just in a cave, a snowy ass cave in the Banished Place. and I was like, what the fuck? Because I was live streaming all of these, playing all of these games and scripting at the same time. I was live streaming and I was like so confused. Like, but besides that, which literally makes no sense, it still has my mind like fucking boggling. Like I can't even comprehend what the hell happened there. So we encounter that snowy like ape, you know, Yeti kind of guy from the movie, the guy who's like obsessed with like snow cones. And right off the bat, we turn the camera to like the left a little bit, and I kid you not, we see a ice sculpture of a snowy like woman. And this dude had to literally sculpt these to perfection, mind you. And the weirdest part about it is the face of this ice sculpture. It looks like the face of a guy. I don't know. I honestly don't know anymore. This game is so fucking, this is the point of the game, like that transition from the trapdoor to here, that like, dude, this is such a fucking bad game, man. Like, this is a disgrace to the movie. So now, anyways, getting out of that ice cave, which I was very happy to get some fresh air outside. I did not want to be in there anymore. So we have to make our way down the snowy mountain. And I literally speed ran this section here. So we run down the snowy mountain, and Mike is there too. So Mike, I don't know how Mike got there with us in the snowy area. He was just there. I don't think he was with us in the sewer area, but Mike was with us in the snowy area. And as we make our way down the mountain, Mike is just teleporting in front of us. Like, he'll be at this one spot, we'll run past him down the mountain, and then we get to a specific point later down the mountain, and he's just there again. And we don't see him at all. He's just like straight teleporting. And it's so, like this level is so fucking like, it's like they threw away all common sense, or like they threw away like, you know, I know this makes no sense, but fuck it, we don't want to program, shit. But fuck it, we don't want to program Mike, you know, going down the slope with Sully. So we're just gonna make him teleport, you know? But I beat this level in like 5 minutes because I was just sprinting down the mountain. It's a very quick level. And then there's like this teepee looking hut at the end of the mountain that we reach, and the level ends. So coming up here on the end of the game, thankfully, was a pretty short game, but this level begins us already. We're in a battle with Randall, which Randall hasn't been in this game the entirety of the game. And then we're just already in a battle with Randall on this level. Sure, he was in the cutscenes and stuff, but in the actual game, he was nowhere to be found from what I remember. But this is the battle scene from the movie where they're like on the doors that are moving throughout the factory, and like Randall has Boo and we're chasing them. And this is basically that part, which I don't know how the hell we touch a teepee and then we just instantly get here, because we touch the teepee and then it loads into the next cutscene and we're already swinging on the doors. Like, anyways, we make our way to the door Randall is camping at, because this whole platforming section, instead of Randall trying to get as far away from us as possible, he's just camping and like running in circles around this door. And then we reach that door, and then that's when he finally decides to go in there, and then we follow him. So before we dive into the final level, technically like the boss fight of the game, I do want to give a huge shout out to the homies DSR, VF, Mark Hickman, Kansas, and my boy Tate for donating on the live stream when I was playing this game and scripting for this video. It really helped with my sanity, you guys. Genuinely, thank you so much. But here we are. The final boss fight against Randall and the main spider guy. I forgot his name, honestly. Whatever the main boss spider guy is. I honestly don't care what his name is though at this point. I just want the game to end. So for the boss fight, we literally just have to run around the arena using our scare ability to activate these fuse boxes, which I didn't really even talk about this before, but there's like a Crash Bandicoot shitty rip-off spin attack, and the gameplay is just terrible, as you've probably seen. But you can also do this scaring animation where you can go up to these fuse boxes and scare them with, and then, you know, basically activate them with your scare. But anyways, we've done a bunch of these fuse boxes throughout the entire game. But we bounce on a bunch of these trampoline things to reach more of these fuse boxes. And after we do, like, no joke, like 10 or so fuse boxes in this boss fight area, I wouldn't even consider this a boss fight because we don't even attack anybody. We just scare a bunch of fuse boxes, that's it. But after we do all those fuse boxes, the big ass energy core stops working, and then the spider guy lowers down because he's in the middle of this area and he's like up high in this like encapsulated area on this whatever like place we can't access basically. After I activate those fuse boxes, he starts to lower down, and I kid you not, Sully does another happy dance and the game just ends. And guess what? We are greeted with a congratulations screen. And then we're booted back to the main menu. Oh, this game is so fucking bad, man. Happy dance. Game ends, congratulations screen, boot you back to the main menu. They didn't put no time or effort into this. They could have made such a phenomenal Monsters, Inc. game for PS2. Now, I'd probably, okay, this is a solid 2 out of 10 game. Like the drop off from Curious George to this was insane. I was no joke speechless at the end of this experience on the live stream, like genuinely. Now I only give this a 2 out of 10 because there is a tiny bit of entertainment value here with like, let's say the terrible animations, of course the zesty pictures of Sully and Mike in that one area, and some of the dialogue like that I was actually laughing at, like laughing out loud at, it was so bad. Other than that, this game has a terrible story that doesn't even line up with the movie cutscenes they show. Terrible gameplay, like genuinely really bad gameplay. Terrible animations, as you've seen. Terrible platforming. Some of the platforming is really bad. Terrible level design. Like, bro, I could go on and on, honestly. Ugh, I'm not excited for this final game, bro. Oh, who the hell? Yo, Baby D. Yo, welcome in, man. It's been a minute, man. How you been?
I'm good.
Okay, are you doing all right, Baby D?
Yeah, I just wanted to know which apartment was yours.
The hell? How'd you even find where I live?
I have my ways.
Okay, let's move on to the next and final movie tie-in game. Now, what laid ahead of us in this final game was something I never expected. The final game for this video, and the worst game, the worst movie tie-in game that I've ever played in my entire life. No, I'm not even joking with you. Zathura on PS2. So this was such a goated movie for me. Still one of, like, I prefer this over the OG Jumanji. I know that's a hot take, but I loved Zathura, man, as a movie. And they made a PS2 game about it. And I was actually looking forward to playing this game and getting this because, like with Monsters, Inc., dude, the movie was awesome. This game's gotta be awesome, right? And in some aspects, this game is really cool, but for the most part, from what you'll see, it's definitely a letdown. So hopping into this game, we start off with a pretty decent first impression, I must say. The main menu has a really cool space aesthetic, but don't let that fool you guys. This game has some bowl in store for us. So before I played this game, I scrolled through the level select screen just to see how many levels are actually in this game, just so I can get a grasp of it. So Curious George had 13 levels, it lied, and it said there was 12, but there was 13. Monsters, Inc. had 8 levels. Guess how many levels are in this game? 26 fucking levels. So believe it or not, this game actually does not rip the scenes straight from the movie, and we can actually show you all the cutscenes. They made their own cutscenes for this game, so that's a +1 for this game. So basically, just like in the movie, the dad leaves, and Danny, aka the little kid, is like, "Yo, Walter, can you make me some mac and cheese?" And Walter says, "Nah, go do it yourself." Danny's like, "Well, what can you make?" Walter says, "Water," like a badass. Like, that added +1,000,000 aura points to him. That was actually kind of funny.
What do you know how to make? Water?
And just like in the movie, Danny throws a baseball at his brother's head and he gets chased around the house, just like in the movie. And once again, like in the movie, Walter sends Danny down to the scary basement. So this is the first gameplay we get in this game, boys. So we have to explore the basement. The gameplay, like the controls and everything, they're not horrendous, but like they're just also not really that good. But it's doable, you know what I'm saying? So anyways, we explore the basement and we actually find the Zathura board game in the basement. Now, being all excited, and I guess our brotherly beef is now over, I go upstairs and I show Walter. Also, here's something I noticed, you guys. Tell me why in the movie we live in a neighborhood. Like in the movie, this house is in like a neighborhood, straight up, clearly in a neighborhood. But looking out of the windows in the game, we are literally in the middle of the woods. There are no buildings around. Now that is not lore accurate. We ask Walter if he wants to play the game with us, and he calls us a midget.
You're mean. You're a midget.
And the meteor shower begins.
Meteor shower. What the?
Bro, why is Walter so nonchalant though? So if you don't know the game Zathura, each player takes their own turn. So Danny took his turn and the card came out that said something about a meteor shower. And then whatever the card says is what basically happens. That's kind of what goes on in this game. So it's Walter's turn to pull a card. So Walter plays, he pulls a card, and the card says something along the lines of like robot. So I honestly can't remember. Something about the robot. And then the robot actually appears. And now we get to play as the Chad himself, Walter. Now, Walter's an awesome character, man. He's definitely my favorite of Danny. You play as 3 different characters in this game. So you got Danny and Walter. The other one I'll tell you about later, but Walter's pretty fire. So the robot appears and he turns really big and he starts chasing us all around the house. And basically what we have to do is lure him into the basement and then he gets like incapacitated. So now we are somehow in a spaceship because who knew that the robot had teleporting abilities? Yeah, the robot from this game, he has teleporting abilities and he uses it multiple times throughout the game. But anyways, we make our way through the spaceship to find Walter because we were separated. So now I'm playing as Danny. We played as Walter for like 2 seconds, but now we're playing Danny. We were playing Danny throughout this spaceship section and we find ourselves a slingshot. And now we're introduced to kind of the mid-combat in this game. I mean, it is better than whatever Monsters, Inc. was. There was like no combat in that game anyways, but quite honestly, it's not that good, just straight up button mashing. It is kind of a nice change of pace though, I will be honest. So we end up finding a control panel to free Walter from his cage. Now that Walter's free, Danny's kind of chilling over by where the control panel was. So now we get to play as Walter to go meet up with Danny. Now Danny got the slingshot. Now for Walter, guess what kind of badass weapon we got? A wrench. And I was like, bro, really a wrench? But like, don't let that fool you, dude. The wrench actually goes crazy and you can deflect bullets with it too. But after a ton of fighting later, we find Danny and reprogram the big ass robot to be our ally. So Walter is like the Chad character of this game, let's be real. But now we're introduced to the final playable character, and this final playable character is the true Chad of this game. Yeah, guys, we get to play as the fucking robot. rampage through the robot spaceship and destroy other robots and even fight a huge boss robot, which actually the boss fights in this game, they kind of go hard. At least like this is like the only game of the 3 that actually has like actual boss fights. So as the robot, we save Danny and Walter and we're running from a huge ball of flame. I guess like the spaceship is straight up exploding and then we teleport back home. Why couldn't you just teleport before we started running away? I don't know. I died a few times at that part, but we managed to survive. Once we get back home, it's Danny's turn to play the game. And his card is something like gravity disappears or some shit. And we no joke get launched out of the house into orbit. Like, bro, we're not surviving out here, especially without spacesuits. But nah, even though we definitely wouldn't have survived that, we're now entering another planet's atmosphere, and we also somehow don't die on the way down. And we land onto this lava planet, and now as Walter, because Danny wants to stay behind because he's a little baby, as Walter calls him, we explore the lava planet as Walter. Also, hold up. So, there's a few parts in this game where they definitely do it to make the game longer. This never happened in the movie. Danny and Walter never got launched out of the house into orbit and land on another planet that they had to explore. This happens like 2 times in this game, maybe 3 times. And it adds like an extra, like I'm not gonna lie, I played this game for like 5.5 hours. It took me to beat it on live stream. And towards the end, I was so ready to be done with this fucking game. These 2 sections that were unnecessary, that weren't in the movie, there's like 2 planets that we go to. It adds like 2.5 hours to the gameplay. And, oh man, it drags on, dude. It drags. At this point in the video, if I stutter a lot, and I'm honestly at a loss for words because I'm just getting a lot of PTSD from playing these games, and I'm just really not in a good mind state right now. Oh, the hell? Who are you? Can't you tell? I'm a clone of you, but I'm obsessed with Ghost. Okay, so what are you doing here? I'm just a cameo, I guess, you know, to introduce myself into the lore. Wait. You look familiar. You're the guy that filmed that episode on June 4th. You filmed and uploaded an episode on my channel. What was it? Pipe Dreams 3D? Bro, that was my 1 week off that I was taking. And you used that opportunity to slide in. How would you even get my channel password and stuff to even access my channel? My bad, Brady. I gotta get going now. I got more Ghost to drink. Now on this lava planet, we have to find power cells to recharge our robot because I guess the robot came with us and now he's out of power. And also, I don't know why this lava planet would have power cells, but I don't know. I guess they never expected people to really deep dive into their games. Like, this doesn't make any sense, this doesn't make any sense, but you know, being a reviewer and all, it's kind of what I gotta do. It doesn't make any fucking sense. And after we gather more power cells as Walter, we reunite with Danny, and for some reason, Danny slips and falls, and we lose him on the lava planet. Now we play as Danny, and playing as Danny, we have to explore and do even more platforming. This game has a good amount of platforming, you guys, and it's genuinely not, it's really not that fun. Now, towards the end of this lava planet section where I'm playing as Danny, we face a huge monster lava fucking monster type thing. And it actually has a really cool design. I'm not gonna lie, this game has a lot of, like, a good amount of high points, but then like the few low points in this game is also what makes it really bad. We'll get to that. But the monster design is really cool in this game. But in all seriousness, if this was real life, Danny would be dead in 2 seconds. But because Danny has plot armor, he defeats the monster with ease. Most of these boss fights are straight up button mashing, especially with Danny, because he, like, Walter's combat is a little bit more strategic. You have to dodge and get out of the way and stuff because it's way more close quarters. But Danny, you just got the slingshot and it's just like spam. You know, just straight button spam. And coincidentally, Walter shows up right after we defeat the boss, and he has the robot with him now working after he, I guess, put the power cells in him, and then we just get teleported back to the house. So this all could have been avoided if we just didn't fall out of the house in the first place. And if the robot didn't come with us, we would actually be stranded and we'd be fucked. Now at home, it's Danny's turn, and his next card says you're visited by Zorgons. If you see in the movie, this part was actually kind of crazy in the movie. So with the Zorgons right outside our window, we bolt back to the fireplace, which is like the go-to hiding spot in this house, I guess. And underneath the fireplace, we actually spam turns. Danny pulls the Save Stranded Astronaut card, which got me thinking, bro, if y'all are trying to end the game ASAP, you should just spam turns instead of reading the cards and waiting for whatever's gonna happen. Like, that's like the speedrun strat. You spam turns, the card comes out, throw the card away, and then spam turns, and then until you beat the game. That's like, don't read the card, wait a few seconds until whatever's gonna start happening to wherever that, like the house or whatever. But there's another thing that's like, you know, we gotta have a plot and stuff. The movie would be 2 seconds if they did that. But in a real life situation, that's what I would be doing. But anyways, the robot comes in clutch and grabs us, and we fly into space, into a space station to find the stranded astronaut. You know, instead of the astronaut just showing up all majestically like he did in the movie, we have to go to another location that was not in the movie just to pad out the game time and go find the astronaut ourselves, you know? Really, it's a fun time, man. Also, I just thought of this, just out of the blue. Where the hell is the sister in this game? You know the sister from the movie who got frozen solid and then like, she was like all lovey-dovey on the astronaut guy until she found out that the astronaut guy is like a future version of Walter or Danny, I don't remember exactly who. And then she was like all grossed out or whatever. Where the hell is the sister in this game? The dad was in the game. There's that at least. He was in the game for, you know, 2 seconds. I wonder how much he got paid for that. And then the sister was not in this game whatsoever. Got me a little curious. Curious George, I guess you could say. So right away, in this space station, we get to play as the robot, whooping some lizard ass. Just like my boy Tate in the chat said, this bucket of bolts can kick ass. Now, I didn't really explain this before, but the robot is actually pretty fun to use when you have the weapons. That's kind of foreshadowing. When you have the weapons, it's actually really fun to use the robot. That's like the best highlight of the game, is just using the robot when he is just whooping ass. That's most definitely the highlight of this game. But you whoop a bunch of lizard ass in the space station, and then after the horde of lizards are dealt with, we end up playing as Danny again to make our way through the space station. And then we go hit a button on like a control panel to open all of the doors in the space station so like the robot and everyone else can get through. And now, yeah, it's a lot of alternating. Now we play as the Chad Walter, and we get our first glimpses of the majestic astronaut. We finally meet the astronaut, and I think he referenced Spider-Man.
Are we going home?
Home? Depends on where home is, kid. And from the looks of things, you're far from it.
So then we escape the space station because the astronaut has like a ship that we can use. And then we're like, yo, that's our house. And then the astronaut goes to our house and crash lands his entire spaceship into our house. I'm not even kidding. I don't know how our house doesn't just get absolutely obliterated from that. But then after we crash land, the astronaut just says something that's really gay.
They want something, and they won't stop until they get it.
What do they want?
Meat.
Whew, well that's good.
Dude, your meat.
So in this next cutscene, Danny is standing on a piece of the floor, and the piece of the floor he's standing on breaks. And guess what, everybody? Just to make the game a little longer, he flies off into the atmosphere onto another random planet. Man, this game is so fun. This is the point of the game where I'm like, bro, can we get this over with? We've already been on a lava planet. this extra new planet that we're on is kind of like a desert kind of planet. I don't know exactly. It's kind of weird because they have aliens on the planet. And then there's like lizards, and there's like some like other stuff that kind of resembles like what you would kind of find on Earth. And I can't explain what the hell this planet is. So moving through this, you know, whatever the hell kind of planet this is as Danny, you know, fighting off all these aliens. I'm a little ass kid, mind you, doing this. Hordes of aliens and shit. Like I said, 2 seconds, we would have all been dead in this situation. But Danny gets surrounded by the aliens at the end, and they actually capture him. And can you guess it? Yeah, we now play as Walter, and we have to go through this entire planet again to go save Danny. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. It's getting kind of old now, don't you think? So as Walter, you know, going through this planet once again, we kill a bunch of more aliens. We end up finding Danny captured. And of course, we need to fight this big fucking boss. Like literally look at this thing. I don't even know what to call it. But I am not gonna lie, this boss fight was genuinely the highlight of like all the boss fights. It was actually really like a pretty good boss fight. I can't even, this is the one good thing that came out of these random ass planets, were like the 2 boss fights in them. Now that we have Danny, you know, Walter and Danny are just chilling, and then the astronaut actually comes to save us on that planet. And then we get back to our, you know, destroyed house that's in just floating in space. And the Zorgons have actually stole the game board. So we have to go to their mothership to retrieve it. Now we play as the robot again, and this level drags, dude. Absolutely drags. This is, dude, there's a lot of like fucking, dude, I just wanted, like, these levels go on way longer than they should. This game just drags, dude, like genuinely. But as the robot, we're jumping between these like asteroids or meteors in the sky, in space or whatever, and we're just shooting down Zorgon ships for like 5 minutes. Like just straight up doing that for like 5 minutes. Like they were really trying to make this game longer than it needed to be. They're trying to squeeze out every second of like our valuable time as human beings. Time is the most valuable thing. And I spent 10 hours, like almost 11 hours altogether playing these 3 games, you guys. I went through a lot of pain for this video. Now I'm gonna explain this the best I can, all right? Just try to follow along with me. This level was literal hell, okay? You first play as Walter. You progress through, you know, the Zorgon mothership, battling and parkouring and getting fucking spawn killed, which is so annoying, and launched off platforms over and over and over and over again. I was literally losing my mind at this part, and that's to put it lightly. Now, that part as Walter took like 30 minutes. We're going like straight through. And now, it was so bullshit. But now we're playing as Danny, okay? Going to actually collect, you know, the actual game board while platforming and dodging these spikes and other bullshit. Still such a bad part, but not as bad as Walter's part was. And the part as Danny also took like another 20 something minutes. But at this point in the video, I have to just skim through this because I don't want to even think about the pain I had to go through at those parts, man. I probably showed you a montage or something. You guys get the idea. All right, guys, now for the boss fight in the Zorgon mothership, the final boss of this entire game after we collect the board. So this is against a big ass lizard. Looks like a pretty simple boss, just a big lizard, you know what I'm saying? And we play as Danny, first of all, fighting this boss, and he actually goes crazy at first. It seems pretty easy, just kind of spamming the shoot button. And then we get to play as the robot. The robot comes in clutch in this boss fight. Well, you'd think that the robot would come in clutch, right? Nah. You know what'd be funny? The developers were like, hey, you know what? This game isn't long enough. We need to drag it out just a little bit more. So let's make the robot have 0 weapons. He can only punch. Let's make the robot have 0 weapons. So I'm playing this boss fight for like 30 minutes. And this lizard is not dying at all. I am whooping his ass and he is not dying. But get this, turns out I had to use my boost and launch the lizard at the glass until it breaks, until the glass breaks. I didn't even know I had a boost move shout out VF in the chat, in the live stream, for telling me that I had a boost move. Because if it wasn't for you, I would have definitely rage quit at this boss, because I was sitting here punching this dude for like 25 minutes straight. And the camera in this game is also very bad, but the camera kept going to this pane of glass, and I'm like, dude, why do you want me to focus on this pane of glass so much? I felt like you had to do something with it, but I didn't know that you had to use your boost move, which I didn't know you had a boost move. Not only that too, you have to be in a specific spot when you use your boost move, or else it's not gonna work. And they don't tell you anything about that in the game. They only kind of just show you the glass, you know, with the camera. Also, shout out my boy Tate for laying in his comfy ass memory foam mattress while I was on stream suffering. But anyways, we defeat the lizard, he flies off into space, and the robot teleports us back home once again, and we finish the game. And just like I called it on live stream, after we fell into the black hole, because we finished the game and the cutscene shows us all falling into this black hole. The astronaut, Danny, and Walter, we all go into the black hole. And on stream, I'm like, how much you want to bet we just wake up at our normal house and everything is back to normal? And guess what happens?
What just happened? We didn't just... Don't touch that button. Back away slowly, nice and slow. We're back! In the house, it's all okay.
And now that we're back at our normal house, Walter literally is just like, because in the movie, Danny wants to play baseball, like catch with Walter, but Walter, you know, being Walter, doesn't want to do that because he's the big badass big brother. You know, big brothers can't be friends with little brothers. You know, after this whole experience, Walter's like, okay, I'll go grab the gloves. We can play some baseball. And Danny's like, oh my God, really? And Walter's like, yeah, man, because you're my brother. That's what brothers are for. And then the credits roll. If that's what brothers are for, Walter, you would have been doing that since I was a fucking newborn, my boy. Zathura. Now, I'm gonna explain to you why this is the worst movie tie-in game ever, because maybe from your guys' perspective watching this video, it might not have looked as bad as Monsters, Inc., but playing this game for, you know, almost 6 hours, Monsters, Inc. took 2 hours and 11 minutes. Zathura took me 5.5 hours to beat. This game dragged. Now, I'm gonna explain to you why this game is so fucking bad in my eyes. Now, my argument is that Monsters, Inc. definitely had worse gameplay. I will be honest, Monsters, Inc. definitely had worse gameplay. But the fact that it only had 8 levels and did not drag on one bit, maybe a little tiny bit, but it barely dragged on, Monsters, Inc. Only had 8 levels. This game, even though it has a little better gameplay and kind of fun combat, this game dragged on so much, man. It dragged on for like an extra 2.5 hours than needed. And including the spawn killing and horrific platforming, terrible camera angles, this game has, in my opinion, by far got to be the worst movie tie-in game I've ever played. Now, something I do wish that they added to this game, I do wish that you could partake in actually playing the game board, which even if it is just like a simple press X to press the button, or, you know, even something as simple as that, like being actually kind of involved with the game board instead of watching the cutscenes, that would have been really nice. And I also wish that there was more gameplay inside the actual house. There wasn't a whole lot of gameplay in the house. A lot of it was just in like a robot spaceship, a lizard spaceship, planets, and they got kind of old after a while, you know, spaceships and planets. I would have liked to be able to play inside the house a little bit more, you know. And just for those reasons, I have to give this game a 0.5 out of 10. 0.5 out of 10. I'm not even joking, you guys. It was really not a good experience for me. And I'm giving it a 0.5 only because the first time playing the robot was actually fire. And the combat for Danny and Walter were actually pretty decent as well. So some of the gameplay was pretty good. The cutscenes were okay, you know, the dialogue was funny sometimes, you know. But the gameplay towards the end, like once you start getting to that lava planet, that's when the game dips, because it starts just rinsing and repeating itself over and over and over, dragging, and a lot of bad design choices and stuff, man. Is really bad too, because if it wasn't as long as it is, I would say Monsters Inc. would be the worst movie tie-in game, but because of how long this is and how much I wanted it to just end, but it kept going, 26 levels, it's the worst that I've ever played so far in my life. And the first few levels of this game really make you think that it's gonna be like a pretty decent movie tie-in game. The first few levels are actually pretty decent. But the further you go, you realize, you know, you're making a mistake playing this piece of shit. At least the pain is over. What the hell?
What the hell? Boom! Yeah.
Sully, I encountered you once before. You were a toy, but you are not defeating me now. Bring it on. Yeah. Well, I have a special weapon. I have something that I know you're deathly afraid of. I have a baby. Of course, it's you.
Alien life form must destroy.
Bring it on. Baby Brady, help!
Oh shit!
Good job, man.
Long live Baby D.
Wait. What does Baby D have to do with this? Wait. Bring it back. We almost forgot to shout out the members, Baby Brady. I'd love to shout out the members, a part of BR80 crew. Thank you guys so much for the contributions every month. It means the world. Also shout out Kansas Cowboy Jr., part of BR80 VIPs. Your support means the world, man. Thank you for everything you do on the channel, and it goes a long way. I really appreciate you, man. If you guys are interested in the channel links, the descriptions, If you guys are interested in the channel memberships, the links are in the description. I think I hit my head too hard. Ow. Thanks for helping me out in the fight, Baby Brady.
Anything for you, my master.
Okay, don't be starting this gay shit now. Fuck out of here, my boy. Subscribe for weekly retro gaming content. I gotta go to the ER.